My pregnant sister demanded I give her my car because hers kept breaking down. But when I refused, my whole family called me selfish and tried to steal it while I was asleep. My name is Rachel, I'm 27. I have a younger sister, Lily, 24, who's currently 7 months pregnant with her first child. We've always gotten along okay, but we've been different since we were kids. I'm practical and independent, while Lily has always been the spoiled one. Growing up, I was the responsible child, and Lily was the cute baby who got away with everything. I thought things would be different when we grew up. I was wrong. Turns out the past just went dormant for a while. I own a 2010 Honda Civic. It's not a fancy car, but it means a lot to me. I bought it with money I earned after graduating college, and I've taken great care of it ever since. Oil changes, tune-ups, everything. During times of unemployment and tight finances, that car has been the one steady thing I could rely on. That Civic is my baby. It's safe, it's fully paid off, and I need it for job interviews, grocery runs, and emergencies. Even though I only work part-time right now, I still can't live without my own transportation. Lily drives a beat-up 2002 Ford that our dad, James, passed down years ago. It breaks down constantly, and she rarely does maintenance. I've helped her plenty, lent her my AAA card, picked her up when her car died, but it's become a never-ending pattern. One Sunday night, we were having dinner at our parents' house. Lily started complaining again that her car was back in the shop. In the middle of the meal, she turned to me and said, "Could you just give me your Civic?" I thought she was joking, so I chuckled and said, "No way." But Lily was completely serious and immediately launched into an argument. She said pregnant women shouldn't be driving unreliable cars, and that my Civic was the perfect solution. I said, "Absolutely not, that's my car and I need it." Right away, our mom Linda jumped in. "You don't even drive to work much, just a few errands here and there." She said Lily needed a car for doctor appointments, and later, to drive the baby around. I started feeling cornered, like I was being painted as the one with extra stuff I should just give away. I made it clear, I may not commute every day, but I still need my car, and I bought it with my own money. We can't just divide up personal property based on who needs it more. Ethan, Lily's husband, chimed in too. "For the baby's sake, could you reconsider?" He even suggested I trade, give them my Civic, and I could borrow their beat-up Ford when I needed to go somewhere. I couldn't help but laugh at how ridiculous that was. I said sorry, but that's never going to happen. Lily burst into tears at the dinner table, clutching her belly. "You don't understand how scary it is to be pregnant and have to drive a crappy car." She sobbed. "If you loved your niece or nephew, you'd give me the car." That made me furious. The blatant emotional manipulation hit a nerve. I responded coldly. "Keeping your child safe is your responsibility, not mine. If there's an emergency, I'll help, but I'm not handing over my car to anyone." The moment I said that, my mom called me selfish. My dad shook his head, and Lily kept crying. I realized then, they had all chosen her side. I left the dinner table feeling like I'd just kicked a puppy. Everyone looked at me like I was the most heartless person in the world. And I started to wonder, was I being too cold? That night, I told my best friend everything, and she burst out laughing. She assured me I wasn't crazy, and that I was 100% right to say no. I figured it was just a dramatic family argument, and it would blow over. But I was wrong. A week later, on Saturday morning, I woke up to the sound of an engine and metal clanking. I looked out the window, and my heart stopped. My dad's truck was backing into the driveway, towing a trailer. And halfway up the ramp was my Civic. I threw on clothes and ran outside, completely in shock. My mom, Linda, came toward me with her hands out like she was trying to calm me down. "Sweetheart, please, let us explain." But I pulled out my phone and shouted, "If you don't put my car down right now, I'm calling the police." My dad immediately said, "No, come on, don't make this a big thing." I rushed to the car, its front wheels already strapped onto the tow ramp. I started undoing the cords that were binding it in place. My dad stepped back looking flustered. "We just thought this would be easier." Lily stood by the curb, near the mailbox, her pregnant belly sticking out, face emotionless. She looked at me like I was the one being dramatic and said, "I knew you wouldn't give it to me, so I had to do it this way. What's the big deal? I need that car." I screamed, "This is theft! You're stealing my car!" What I felt wasn't just anger, it was betrayal. Complete gut-wrenching betrayal from my own flesh and blood. I turned to my parents. "If you want to help her, teach her how to live decently. Not like this." My mom kept pleading, "We were going to take the car and talk to you later, once you'd calm down." That sentence hit me like a slap. They were planning to trick me, then force me to accept it after the fact. I backed away, still clutching my phone. "I'm serious, I'll call the police." My dad shrugged, sighed, and silently walked back to the truck. Maybe he realized the heist had failed. My mom turned to comfort Lily, who was crying, and I just stood there, looking at them like they were strangers. Lily hissed, "I already told my in-laws that you were giving me the car." Then she snapped, "Now you're making me look bad in front of everyone, you know that?" I stood frozen, in disbelief. She hadn't just planned this. She had lied to make herself look like a hero. It didn't stop there. Lily went on to say that she and Mom had already planned to host her baby shower at my house, without even asking me first. I nearly lost it. What else haven't I been told? They came here to steal my car, throw a party, and force me to play the role of the supportive sister in their staged little play. I looked Lily straight in the eye, my voice ice cold. You need to tell the truth. I never said I was giving you the car. And that party is not happening at my house. Lily broke into sobs like I had just ruined her entire life on live television. You're making me look like a liar, she cried. I just want what's best for my baby. My mom jumped in, hugging her like she was a child being bullied. Don't blow this out of proportion over something small. At least let her have the shower, let it be joyful, let it look harmonious. I glared at my mom. Are you seriously telling me to pretend I gave her the car and host the party, all to maintain a lie? Just so everything looks good? Linda didn't answer. She just stood there silently, as if my question was too rude to even acknowledge. At that moment, my dad started up the truck and honked. Let's go. My mom shot me a bitter look and said, we'll talk about this again later. Lily, still sniffling, was helped into the truck like some poor victim recovering from an unjust slap. And then they were gone, leaving me standing alone in my driveway, next to my Civic with toe straps still digging into the wheels. I was shaking, part rage, part heartbreak. I had never felt more alone, surrounded by the people who were supposed to love me. I unstrapped the car, pushed it back into the garage, and my hands still wouldn't stop trembling. Not even a few hours later, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Messages from aunts, uncles, cousins, all carrying the same accusing tone. How could you be so cruel? Lily had already told everyone that I'd lost my temper for no reason, screamed at her, and kicked the whole family out when she just asked for help. I didn't know whether to feel furious or just heartbroken. Maybe both. I hadn't done anything wrong, but somehow I was now the villain in my own family story. I didn't respond to any of them. I needed time to think clearly. That night, I spent hours printing text messages, photographing the car, and backing up footage from my front door camera. The more I did, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a family issue anymore. They had crossed a legal line, and I wasn't going to just look the other way. I decided to park my car at my best friend's house at night, just in case they came back. I couldn't sleep. All I could picture was my parents, trying to steal the car I bought with my own money. Some part of me still held out hope that they'd realize what they did and apologize, even if it was a long shot. The next day, my mom called. Her voice was sugary sweet. She said yesterday was all just a misunderstanding, and invited me over to talk calmly. I hesitated, but agreed. I figured I should at least hear them out. I drove the Civic to my parents' house around dusk. Only my mom and Lily were there. Dad was working late, according to her. At first, things were surprisingly normal. We even had dinner together. I started to think, maybe they finally understood. After dinner, Mom asked me to help carry a few boxes out to Lily's car. I picked one up and walked out the front door, and then I heard that engine. I spun around, heart pounding. My Civic was reversing down the driveway. Lily was behind the wheel. I froze for a second, then screamed, Lily, what the hell are you doing? She didn't stop. She even rolled the window down, smirked, and said, thanks for changing your mind. Then she hit the gas and disappeared down the street like it was the most normal thing in the world. I stood there, one hand holding the box, the other gripping my phone, my mind spinning. My mom came running out. Don't be mad, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay. I looked at her and asked, did you lure me here just to switch cars? Linda fumbled. We'll pay you, just don't make a big deal out of it. That car is for the baby, can't you understand? I clenched my jaw. You just helped your daughter steal from your own child. I dropped the box on the lawn, turned around, and started ordering an Uber. My mom followed me, crying and begging me not to use the word steal with family. I didn't respond. All I felt was an empty pit in my chest. When I got home, I called the police and reported the car stolen. I gave them Lily's full name, address, the license plate, and a detailed statement. The officer asked if I wanted to press charges. I said, yes. Then, I messaged the family group chat. The car has been reported stolen. If it's not returned immediately, the law will handle it. No one responded, just a cold string of read receipts. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every noise outside made me bolt upright. I didn't know what they'd try next. But one thing was clear, I was done backing down. Late into the night, I got a call from an unknown number. I had a feeling, and I was right. It was Lily, calling from jail. Her voice was shaky. Rachel, please help me. She sobbed as she explained she'd been arrested on the road for vehicle theft. She begged me to tell the police it was a misunderstanding, that I'd let her borrow the car. I paused for a few seconds, then said, no, I'm not going to lie to protect someone who betrayed me. She instantly flipped, from crying to furious. You're heartless. You're ruining your own niece's life. I hung up mid-rant. I didn't need to hear any more. Less than an hour later, my mom called, screaming into the phone. You got your sister thrown in jail. You're the most cold-hearted person I've ever known. I said one sentence. I warned you and you still chose the wrong side. Then I hung up and turned on airplane mode. I couldn't let myself get dragged in any deeper. Every ounce of logic would break if I kept listening to their tears. I sat in the dark, just my heartbeat and the quiet ache of betrayal. The next morning, the police called. They told me the car had been recovered and towed to the impound lot. I could pick it up that afternoon. Lily was in custody, and they needed final confirmation if I wanted to press charges. I took a deep breath and said, I'm not withdrawing the complaint. I had let too much slide and they took that as permission to stomp all over me. If I didn't stand firm now, I'd lose my self-respect. That afternoon, I picked up my Civic. It was intact, just a little dirty and nearly out of gas, classic Lily. I placed my hand on the steering wheel and felt like I was reclaiming myself. That night, my phone buzzed again, but this time it was a number I didn't recognize. A message came through, supposedly from Lily's phone, but the tone wasn't hers. You better watch your back, you've made an enemy now. The word sent a chill down my spine. I didn't know if it was Lily, Ethan, or some friend of theirs. But I took a screenshot, sent it to the police, and filed a threat report. This time I wasn't staying silent, everything was being documented. I also messaged the family group chat. Any further threats or harassment will be handled through my attorney. Then I blocked everyone, except my dad. He was the only one who hadn't directly done me harm, yet. That night, my dad showed up at my door. He didn't come in, just stood behind the screen door, voice rough. Rachel, this has gone too far. I answered through the door. It's gone this far because no one was willing to stop. He sighed, said Lily, understands now, and that the family was in chaos. Then he begged me to help, for the baby, for the family's reputation. I looked him in the eye. Did you think about my reputation before you tried to steal from me? He didn't answer, just lowered his head. I continued. I've taken enough hits. Now it's time for the ones who were wrong to face the consequences. That's fair. He nodded slightly, then turned and walked away. He looked 10 years older by the time he reached the gate. A week passed. No more messages. No more calls. I thought maybe the storm had passed, but I knew better. This was just the calm before the courtroom. I started preparing more thoroughly, printing texts, saving screenshots, compiling police reports. I met with a lawyer, a woman who had once gone through a property dispute with her own family. She listened to my story, then said, You're not the first person to be betrayed by their own blood, but you can be the first to hold them accountable. Her name was Karen, calm, sharp, and refreshingly direct. She reviewed all the evidence I'd brought and nodded. This is a clear-cut case of theft. I leaned over and asked quietly, Even if it's family, the law still applies, right? She replied, Especially if it's family. The police had completed the report and submitted it to the district attorney. They recommended charges of theft of personal property, with aggravating circumstances of premeditation. With the camera footage and text messages as evidence, I knew it would be hard for Lily to get out of this. Still, Karen warned me, they'll probably try to settle it civilly or claim pregnancy as a reason for leniency. I nodded but made it clear, I don't want to punish Lily. I want justice and a public apology. Karen smiled. That mindset is exactly what makes you powerful. A week later, Lily was released on bail, thanks to Ethan. And the moment she got out, she texted me again, this time, a gentle warning. I forwarded it straight to my lawyer. I didn't reply. My family split into two camps. On one side were my mom and a few relatives who said I was blowing things out of proportion. On the other side, aunts who had learned the full story stood by me. Then I got a surprise call from Aunt Connie, my mom's former best friend. She said, Your mom's version is nothing like what really happened. I'm so sorry. For the first time, I didn't feel entirely alone. A few relatives reached out to apologize for judging me based on one side of the story. They said, You did the right thing. No one has the right to take what's yours, even if they're family. That warmed my heart. At least some people still knew the difference between right and wrong. Meanwhile, Ethan, Lily's husband, showed up again. He brought a piece of paper proposing to pay off the car at $200 a month. I looked at him and laughed. Is this a bribe or just a bad joke? I handed the paper back and said clearly, I'm not selling the car. I don't need money. I need respect and the truth. Ethan frowned, his tone sharp with frustration. You're making this worse for Lily and the baby. I answered, Lily made it worse. I'm just cleaning up the mess she left behind. That afternoon, Karen told me the court had officially accepted the case and set a trial date. The day was approaching fast, and I knew I'd have to face my sister in person. But this time, I wasn't afraid. I began preparing for that day the way you prepare for a major presentation. Making timelines, listing who said what, when, and where, everything down to the details. I didn't want to win by luck. I wanted to win with the truth. The night before the hearing, I sat alone in my room, flipping through childhood photos of Lily and me. We used to sleep in the same bed, share snacks. And now I was taking her to court, but I had no other choice. On the day of the trial, I arrived early with Karen. It was a small local courthouse, not many people, but the tension was heavy in the air. I saw Lily sitting across the courtroom. Her belly was big, but her eyes were cold, strangely cold. She wore a cream maternity dress. Ethan sat beside her, gripping her hand tightly. My mom, Linda, was there too, seated behind them, her face full of disappointment as she looked at me. Only my dad, James, didn't show up, and oddly, that brought me relief. The trial began. The prosecutor laid out the charges: theft of personal property with evidence of premeditation. Karen submitted all the evidence: security footage from the front door, text messages, and photos from the scene. The atmosphere shifted immediately. People started looking at Lily differently. Lily's lawyer argued. She took the car believing it was a gift from her family. They emphasized her pregnancy, her fragile emotional state, and how I'd once promised to help in any way I could. My throat tightened as they started twisting the truth. I was called to the stand. I recounted everything, from the Sunday dinner to the early morning tow truck, to the setup at the garage. My voice stayed calm, but my heart was pounding like a war drum. Karen asked, "Did you ever agree or even suggest you would give your sister the car?" I answered firmly, "Never." I said I'd help in an emergency, but I never agreed to hand over my property. Then it was Lily's turn. She looked at the judge with teary eyes and said, "I was just scared something might happen to my baby. My sister used to love me so much, I thought maybe she changed her mind." She tried to paint it as a simple misunderstanding between siblings. Karen stood and asked, "Did you message your friends saying your sister would give you the car?" Lily hesitated, then admitted, "Yes, but at the time, I believed it was really going to happen." A soft sigh came from the back row. No one knew exactly from whom. Next, Karen played the video from the front door camera. It showed Rachel running out, screaming as the car was being towed, and Lily standing near the mailbox saying, "If she won't give it to us, then we'll just do it ourselves." That one moment shattered every narrative of misunderstanding. Ethan beside her started to unravel. He glanced at their lawyer, then looked down in silence. Lily said nothing more. Tears rolled down her face, but she didn't deny anything. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt numb with exhaustion. The judge asked both parties to finalize their statements. Attorney Karen made it clear. "My client is not asking for jail time, only full compensation for the damages, and a public apology." The other side didn't object, probably because they knew everything was already too clear. The court ruled that Lily had to pay the full value of the car, cover legal fees, and post a public apology within 7 days. If she failed to comply, the case would be escalated to a higher court. Lily lowered her head and said nothing, while I simply exhaled, like I had just weathered a month-long storm. After the hearing, I didn't stay to talk to anyone. I walked straight to the parking lot, got into my Civic, same familiar driver's seat, same old but comforting smell. I sat still for a few minutes, hands resting on the wheel, eyes closed. For the first time in weeks, I felt at ease. That evening, I got an email from Karen. Attached was Lily's signed agreement to pay the damages, along with a request for Rachel to confirm her bank details for the transfer. There was no apology, just cold legal documentation. I wasn't surprised. Lily was never the type to bow her head, even when she was clearly in the wrong. I filled in the account information and sent it back, without adding a word. 2 days later, a post appeared on Facebook, from Lily's account. "I want to apologize for my thoughtless actions over the past few weeks. I never intended to hurt my sister." It was full of flowery language, but not a single sentence acknowledged the actual truth. I didn't comment, I didn't share. I just took a screenshot and sent it to the lawyer to confirm she had completed the public apology requirement. As for myself, I had no feelings left to respond. My mother, Linda, left me a voicemail over 3 minutes long. She said I had been too harsh, that I already had the car back and still made a scene. And then she ended with a line that hurt more than any insult. "You make me ashamed to talk about our family with my friends." I listened to that message while pumping gas. I stared at the numbers on the pump, then looked up at the sky, feeling like the world had shrunk and I was the only one still awake in it. I didn't cry, I wasn't angry, I just felt the distance between me and them had now become permanent. That night, I wrote a long message and sent it to both my mom and Lily. I said I needed some time without contact, to heal and find balance again. Then I blocked their numbers, both on my phone and on social media. A few days later, my dad, James, called the landline. His voice was low and brief. "I'm not taking sides, but I understand you." Just those 3 words, "I understand you," were enough to choke me up. He didn't say much more, just asked, "Are you okay?" and told me to take care of myself. I thanked him, and for the first time in years, I felt like he was truly my father. Not taking a side, just standing on the side of what's right. That weekend, I spent time cleaning the house, clearing away notes, scanned documents, and dozens of photo printouts used as evidence. I gathered everything, put it in a small box, locked it, and placed it in the attic. Not to forget, but to remind myself, I made it through. My Civic now sits in a clean garage, with a new camera installed. Every time I get in, it's not just about driving, It's about taking back the wheel of my own life. I didn't let anyone else claim it, and from now on, I never will. A month after the trial, I got an email about a job I had applied to. They invited me for another interview, this time for a full-time role with stable pay. I sat in front of the screen, hands slightly shaking, but hope glowing quietly inside me. The interview went well. I spoke clearly, more confidently than ever before. When I walked out of the building, I saw the Civic shining in the midday sun, like a silent congratulations. 3 days later, I got the call. I had landed the job. I moved into a smaller, sunnier, and quieter apartment. The neighbors are kind, no one knows about my family situation, and I like that anonymity. My new life began with small things: a cup of hot tea, an afternoon free from worry. Every morning, I drive to work, play soft music, and let the peace seep into every breath. I'm no longer pulled into guilt trips, harsh words, or the pressure to be a good daughter. All that's left is me, and that's enough. One day, I ran into Aunt Connie at the grocery store. She hugged me tight and said, "I saw Lily's apology post. Still feels fake." I smiled and replied gently, "It doesn't need to be real. It just needed to happen." We had coffee right there in the shop, talking about cats, work, and the old recipes we used to make. For the first time after all the tension, I laughed from the heart. She said, "Sometimes, family isn't where you're born, it's where you're understood." A few weeks later, I got an email from Mom, but this time, the subject line read, "From Lily." I hesitated, then opened it, and saw a short letter, clearly written by Lily herself. She gave birth, a healthy baby boy, and named him Daniel. In her letter, Lily wrote, "You don't have to forgive me. I just want to say, I understand why you did what you did. I'm not ready to apologize the way you want me to, but I will teach my son to live with responsibility." I finished reading and sat in silence for a moment. No tears, no anger, just a quiet sense that time was doing its job. She didn't say she loved me, didn't say I was a good person, but for the first time, she acknowledged her part in what happened. Late, yes, but still a beginning. I typed one sentence in reply. "Do that for your son and for yourself." I didn't write anything else. I didn't ask for baby photos. I didn't suggest we meet. Because I knew a boundary had been set and I wanted to keep it intact. Forgiveness isn't about going back. It's about moving forward. That night, I stepped out onto the balcony with a mug of hot cocoa and my old notebook. I crossed off a line on my before 30 bucket list. Protect yourself, even if it means standing up to your own family. The night breeze was cool and gentle, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a quiet peace settle inside me. My Civic still sat in the driveway, silent, steady. I thought to myself, maybe I'll never sell it. Not because of its market value, but because of what it represents. Freedom. Self-respect. And the lesson that family does not equal permission to trample boundaries. Next month, I'm starting a new job, same field, but now in a junior management role. I've learned how to make firm decisions. How to say no when I need to. Maybe those family clashes helped me grow up in ways that benefit more than just my personal life. I started a personal blog, a space to tell small pieces of this journey. Not to vent, but to share what I've learned. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's self-respect. My first post was shared more widely than I expected. Some comments brought me to tears. Thank you for saying what I was once threatened never to say. My family's like this too. I used to think I was the problem. Turns out, a lot of people are out there wrestling with painful versions of love. I no longer feel angry at Lily. I just feel sad that we had to take such a painful road to grow up. If someday, Daniel, her son, asks why his mom and her sister don't talk, I hope Lily has the courage to tell him the truth. And to never repeat the cycle with him. My mother still hasn't reached out. I don't know what she's thinking. Maybe she's still angry, or maybe she's waiting for me to make the first move. But now I don't feel resentment. I just want peace in the part of life that's mine to protect. Once, I saw Lily post a photo of Daniel taking his first steps. She was smiling brightly in the picture, none of the anger or manipulation from before. And I quietly wished, I hope you've truly changed, not for me, for that little boy. I still live alone. Still drive my Civic. Still carry a past that can't be erased. But I hold no bitterness, because it was those very wounds that taught me my worth. I am a sister, not a shadow meant to sacrifice, but a whole human being. I used to think forgiveness meant letting things go. Now I understand. Forgiveness means accepting the scar and making sure it doesn't keep bleeding. And I have forgiven. Not for them, but for myself. So I can sleep in peace, love who I am, and live without bowing my head. If you've read this far, and you're also being manipulated by family, I want you to know, you're not wrong for protecting yourself. You have the right to say no. You have the right to keep what's yours. Even if the whole world calls you selfish. Family should never be the place that forces you to trade your peace for fake harmony. If you must choose between honesty and pleasing others, choose honesty. Because truth is the only thing that truly heals. I lost a part of my family. But I kept all of myself, whole, unwarped by guilt or self-betrayal. And to me, that's enough. If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment and share your thoughts below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss future stories. Real stories about boundaries, family, and freedom. This is Rachel. And I hope you find your voice before someone else takes it away.